Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Coe Show. My name is Mason Coe. Sitting across from me, as always, my co-host Aaron Coe.
Hello.
And today is Thursday, December 3rd. We're coming at you a little late. There's a lot of stuff going on this week, but another great week of football. But before we get into that, make sure you follow us on Twitter at Mason Charles Coe at AaronCoe29. Subscribe to the channel, drop a like, drop a comment. It would help us out a lot. And then, of course, buy the book. We got the ebook on Amazon, and the hardcover is on lulu.com. And I guess let's just hop into the football.
Also, if you like our show, feel free to post that on Twitter or Facebook.
that would help us a ton.
Spread the word.
Yeah.
I think we offer something that you don't get anywhere else. So
I would agree.
yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot of shows like this out here. So.
No, because fuck all the other shows, because they can't even say fuck you to us.
Yeah.
Say fuck you to them.
Yeah, they don't even know we exist.
Yeah.
So fuck you, all the other sports shows. All right. So yeah, like I said, another great week of sports. Today we'll be covering the Seahawks, probably more in detail than the Husky game, but we'll be talking about both. I guess let's start with the Seahawks game. Just another, it's a dub. So
yeah, I'll say this every time it happens. Any road win is a good win.
Yeah,
it is not easy to win on the road. Fans, no fans. Short trip, long trip. But if you can go to the East Coast and get a win, that's a good win. Period. Yeah. Now you can, and we will nitpick. I will nitpick, but the bottom line is, if you come out of there with a W. Yeah, that's a great win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Philly obviously not having the year that they would want, and Carson Wentz is just terrible.
Oh my gosh!
But
what happened to that guy?
Seriously, he started 11-0 or something on the Eagles.
He was gonna win the MVP the year that they won the Super Bowl, and then Foles goes on an amazing run and he gets Super Bowl MVP. And Wentz, since that injury, has just never been the same.
Yeah, it's insane. He just straight up missing guys by yards and yards. He's, there's a screenshot from the game where he has two tight ends wide open over the middle and he throws straight into double coverage. It's just terrible. He's just awful. He's really, really bad at quarterback. I kind of rode with him for longer than other people because I
did too.
From what I saw that one year, I just thought there's no way he can be this bad. But he, when we're 11 games into the season, he's this bad.
Yeah.
He's just this bad.
I thought, hey, give him a year to get his confidence back, coming back from injury. But he's had some other injuries.
Yeah.
He has no weapons to help him out. I will give him that. He's got a couple tight ends, but tight ends are tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
Offensive line has been banged up. So I think I'm not listing those as excuses, but I think that he's just never been able to come back because, he's just, he's seeing ghosts like
Darnold.
Yeah. He's seeing things that aren't there. And he's just never come back. And, I have doubts that he ever will. It may have to be somewhere else.
At this point, I don't see it happening. So watch, I'm just going to be wrong that he was good, and now I'm going to be wrong that he'll never be good again. But
he'll beat the Seahawks in the playoffs.
Yeah, of course.
when they make it. So.
Yeah. So 23-17, the final score. Luckily, we don't have a quarterback that's as bad as Carson Wentz. Russ going 22 for 31 for 230 and a touchdown. 2 sacks, for us compared to their 6. So that Carson Wentz took. So not bad. I believe I saw Carson Wentz had a 0.3 passer rating in the first half or something like that. Just really record-setting terrible, honestly. Just some other quick stats to run through. Chris Carson, 8 for 41 and a touchdown. We'll talk about his touchdown run later. And then we got DK Metcalf with another huge game, 10 for 177. He had a 52-yard reception, and, he slowed up on another that could have been a 75-yard touchdown. But and then, the defense was, again, impressive, too. We had, like I said, 6 total sacks, and it was really by committee, which is what you said. It's just nice to have a rotation in there and have a bunch of guys that, although they're not superstars, if we have guys here and there getting half a sack or a sack a game, then it's that's all we need.
Yep.
So, overall, pretty good stuff, I would say. And also, by the way, Darius Slay's wife on Twitter before the game was like, I'm going to need my hubby to pick off Russell Wilson before the game, speaking it into existence. And then he had like a 29 PFF grade. And one-on-one, DK had over 100 yards on him like in the first half almost. Yeah. So,
well, I think, Jim Schwartz, the defensive coordinator, goes in there with a plan that, honestly, I probably would have used and a lot of coordinators would have used, which is, hey, when the Seahawks have faced an elite corner, the Seahawks have shown that they are not going to target decaf more than a few times. Or decaf. That's a horrible nickname.
Also, hey, there's a coffee shop in Seattle that sells decaf Metcalf.
Wow.
That's their coffee, yeah.
So DK. So, the Seahawks have been reluctant to target him against elite corners, even in one-on-one coverage. So, Darius Slay is an elite corner.
Yeah.
So I think, Schwartz goes into it saying, well, we'll just, put him out there and then we'll play our, double coverage and stuff the run and things like that. But I guess, well, two things happen. One, Darius Slay is maybe not quite the Rams corner.
Jalen
Ramsey. He's not quite Stephon Gilmore. He's not quite Patrick Peterson.
Yeah.
So, but he is really good, and he was there, but many times. But DK is just a physical freak, and they finally. I felt like that was the first game where they've really set up. We don't care who's covering him. If he's single covered, we're going to target him.
That's our guy.
Yeah, every time he's single covered, the ball needs to go to him.
Pretty much.
There's still some things that piss me off. I don't want to hear comparisons to Megatron because Megatron didn't drop passes. He dropped another touchdown pass. He has some lapses here and there. Now I'm not denigrating him or anything like that. He's incredible. He's one of the best receivers in the league. But for me to compare him to a Randy Moss or Megatron or any one of those, top 5 Hall of Fame receivers, I need to see him have better technique with his hands. He still catches it weird sometimes.
There's a ball that Russ fired. I don't know what the route was, but he's going across the field and he caught it like this, like he basket. I don't even know how he did it. He had a basket catch with like a laser beam across his body. Yeah. Like if you're not watching, you don't really know what I'm talking about probably, but it just
his hands were turned around the other way.
Weird stuff. Yeah. Just weird stuff.
So I hope he cleans that up. I heard somebody say, maybe less time on your biceps and more time on the tennis ball machine.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know how much time he spends on that. Nobody really does unless you're him or his coaches. But that's the one. He's still a young player. That has a couple of those times in a game where he isn't on the right page, and then the hands. So that being said, he's incredible, and if he's not targeted double-digit times a game, the Seahawks they're not making me happy. I'm going to bitch about that every time he's not targeted double-digit times. Period.
Yeah, and now granted, this jersey is from China, but I pretty much only buy jerseys from certified legends, pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't even have any. The only current jerseys I have are this one and my Russell Wilson one. So for me to buy a DK Metcalf jersey is more significant than it seems for me at least. So we absolutely love him.
Yeah.
And are so happy that he's on this team. And so we just want to make that clear because we're gonna nitpick. It's just what fans do. So
if he catches that touchdown, his stats are even more ridiculous. So
or the touchdown that hit off his face mask, and there was another one earlier in the year.
Yeah. So we're talking about him going from a top 10 receiver in the league, maybe top 5, to the best receiver in the league if he can clean up a couple of things.
Yeah.
So I believe he's gonna get there because his mind seems to be right. And, hopefully he keeps on that path because he's getting better every week. It seems like. We see something better from him. So
and those weeks, like we said, those weeks where he's Jalen Ramsey quote unquote locked him up. there were a few times where he was wide open in that game,
Yeah.
and Russ just wasn't even looking his way. So I think, you can. I genuinely do think he's getting better every game. Even with that one blip, I don't even consider that his fault. Obviously Jalen Ramsey is an elite corner, and it probably would have been tougher to get him the ball that game. But I think Russ did a great job of just staring, just stare at him, and if he's not open, then go to someone else.
Yeah.
Just And then there was the one play that I actually didn't see. I had a group project that. We these fuckers scheduled a meeting during the Seahawks game.
Yeah, that's just idiotic.
God damn it. But I didn't see this play, but deep ball to DK that he kind of slowed up on. But then he also had that crazy catch was it over Slay? He mossed someone and then got the broadcast said 3 feet inbounds, which people on Twitter were kind of clowning him about. But yeah, obviously, fantastic game from him. I mean, I would say no complaints. We did complain, but really no complaints. Ultimately, we're not complaining about DK Metcalf. That's pretty much the last player we can complain about on this football team.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, this is like if your kid brings home a test and they got a 94, and you look and you're like, dude, how did you miss that one problem like that? You could have had a 97.
Yeah.
That was a pretty easy problem.
Yeah.
Dude, what? Come on. You got all these other hard problems that no other kid in the class got, but you missed the easy one.
Exactly.
You missed 2 plus 2. Come on, you dumbass. That's kind of what that's how nitpicky we're being right now.
Yeah. Hey, we should start taking bets on what DK's hair color is going to be for the next week. He went from what? He went from red to green to blue to purple, I think, now. I think that's in 4 weeks, too. He's just been going. But
yeah. That might be a prop bet in Vegas here pretty soon.
Yeah. And then obviously Chris Carson coming back. We said it was going to be huge. You see 8 for 41 and a touchdown, and you think whatever, because Carlos Hyde. I did not realize how bad he was. 15 for 22 for Carlos Hyde, but you see Chris Carson with 8 for 41, and you think, so what? But he came in at big moments, and he had some huge runs, especially the touchdown run was just incredible. And it was very, I mean, you said he's
just
different. He's different. I mean, that's the only way you can say it.
Yeah.
I see people on Twitter saying God damn, he's going to get paid, isn't he? But I mean, it's, aside from the injuries, he's been, I would say, the third best player on that offense. So
yeah, I think that they wanted to limit his carries and just sort of ease him back into it. And you may see that for the as long as they're in the playoffs, you may see them not use him a ton just to try to keep him alive. Because we have to have him in the postseason.
Yeah, I'm in support of that. I mean, Carlos Hyde was getting some carries in some big scenarios where I'd like to see Chris Carson on the field, even if you're trying to give him a rest. But other than this week, Carlos Hyde has been serviceable for sure.
Yeah, he's a good running back.
He's a good solid running back, and I believe that the Eagles D line that's their one unit.
Yeah, they still have a pretty good defense.
Yeah.
As bad as that football team is, it's mostly because they can't score, and their offense puts their defense in bad spots. They have an elite defensive line, and they showed that in this game as well. Carlos Hyde, he struggled a bit. There were some 8-man boxes there. Chris Carson, I would have liked to have seen him maybe in a couple of goal line situations a little bit more, but those are also the most physically demanding carries.
Yeah.
So you're facing, you're going to get hit from all angles on those. So I think that, again, they're just trying to take it easy on him. Yeah.
And I think now would probably be a good time to kind of go a little bit more chronologically through the game. Drive 1, Wentz. I just wrote Wentz sucks on drive 1, and I didn't write anything else about him for the rest of the game because that just kind of continued.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, so DK on the first drive, he had, I don't know what his stats were from the first drive, but he pretty much got all the yards for that team from catches and drawing back-to-back personal fouls. I don't know how he does it. He gets in a fight every week and never gets flagged. And it was bad. It was the second foul on Malik Jackson. By the way, fuck Malik Jackson.
Yeah,
You're in the Jimmy bucket. Malik Jackson is our official second entry into the Jimmy bucket. He fucking just came up behind DK and just shoved him over and like tabletopped him over another player. Just, I mean, face him up, fat boy.
Yeah, let's see it.
Let's see it. Yeah, he'll grab you by the throat and throw you into the stands.
Shoot someone in the back like that. Yeah, I typed in here 97 is a bitch. That was my note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on that drive, however, there was some real messy shit. A bad timeout when it was clear we were going to go for it on 4th down. Pete calls a timeout just to think it over, I guess, or maybe
I don't know.
Get a play called. But I don't know what the thought process was, but we had a sweep to David Moore on 4th and goal from the 2. And here's why this play is so awful.
Yeah.
I'll break it down. There's multiple reasons. One, it's you are 100% choosing to give the ball to David Moore on 4th down.
Yeah.
Why is that your number one choice? Number 2, you're on the 2-yard line. I don't even really want us to run there at all because I think we got stuffed on the last play, right?
Yeah, I know a lot of fans wanted a run up the middle there. I don't think that they would have been able to score with that defensive line. Most likely.
And number 3, the most egregious, like even I know this, and again, I say this pretty much every week. I'm not an X's and O's guy. I'm really not. Why would you just choose to run a play that takes 5 seconds for him to cross the line of scrimmage? That's a play you run when you're trying to break off like a 20-yard run. Yeah. That's when you run that play. You have 2 yards to go. You're choosing to run a play that at the very least from snap to handoff to touchdown, that'll take at least like it'll take more time for him to cross the line of scrimmage than it would for Russ to take a snap and throw a quick route. So I don't know what it's so dumb to me.
This play it sort of falls into the fade category
which by the way, David Moore on the fade later in the game.
I don't mind those plays on 1st or 2nd down.
Yeah.
Maybe even 3rd down if you know you're going for it on 4th, I don't mind it. I don't like a boomer bust play on 4th down. They must have seen something on film that made them think that they could get that or that, it would be a walk-in. If DK was, it wasn't that he had a bad block, it's that he didn't make a block, really.
Yeah.
He was late coming back out of there. His footwork was not very good. So he was late getting to that block. If he makes that block, it may have been a different play. But here's why I hate that play more than any of those other things. So why do you go for it? Why do you go for it on 4th down from the 2-yard line?
So you obviously try to get a touchdown, but if you don't get it, they're on the 2-yard line.
Right. So if you run up the middle and get a half a yard,
1.5 yard line is where they start, and you have Carson fucking Wentz.
Yeah. So I like that situation. Yes. I like that a lot. Mm-hmm. Now you run that sweep. And that's a boom or bust play. So, maybe it could have scored. It didn't. But if most sweeps, if you don't score, most sweeps, if you don't get a good positive play, there's a lot of losses. It's like either a 20-yard gain or a 5-yard loss most of the time. Mm-hmm. So, because usually you have a linebacker or a DB read it early and shoot and take and gamble. So that's why people run fake reverses, right? They want that guy to shoot in and leave an opening over the middle. That's why the Rams do that 12, 18 times a game. So you run that play and you lose yardage, and now you totally take away the advantage that you would have had with Wentz starting at the 1-yard line. Now I forget exactly where they started.
It was around the 5.
That's a huge difference.
It's a huge difference.
You can run your whole offense from there.
Yeah, so you think they still have 95 yards to go. But Carson Wentz is the type of quarterback where – and also, multiple things. Carson Wentz is the type of quarterback where he gets a little happy feet. He gets nervous. There's one thing that I think I heard somewhere on a podcast where he just fully turns his head when he looks, which is funny. I didn't notice.
Oh, wow.
He fully – he doesn't move.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
He's the type of quarterback that will do some dumb shit when he's nervous in the end zone. If he's standing in the end zone having to pass, he'll do some dumb shit. And also, with all the O-line injuries and shitty O-linemen, holding could be a holding in the end zone situation like we had last week. Yeah. So I mean, it's when Michael Bennett. I hate to mention this game. Michael Bennett jumps off sides in the Super Bowl after the pick, and there was a tiny small chance. Like Tom Brady couldn't take a knee on that play because he was too close to the end zone. There's a tiny small chance that something could have happened and we could have got a safety and had another shot. Yeah. But Michael Bennett jumps off sides and now the game's just over.
Yep.
So it's kind of the same thing. I mean, yeah. So that's huge. Like you said, that's huge.
Yeah. And the other thing, just in general, before we continue further down, like this game was a couple things away from being a pretty much of a blowout.
Yeah, true.
Carl. So I'll go into that later, but DK drops a touchdown. Yeah. You had they scored at the end of the game and it was meaningless. Mm. And you had a couple other things where this game could have been 30-something to single digits. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. All right, moving forward.
Yeah, moving on. I guess the next note I have is that we wasted another timeout on fourth down, and then on the next drive after that, there was a delay of game. So I don't know what's happening there. I don't know. Someone said on Twitter, I wonder if Russ got drunk for the first time on his birthday. And it seemed like it a little. I don't know if that's on Russ or whoever, but things just weren't going early in the game, especially.
I know they had some headset issues. I don't know if it impacted them on those plays or not. I think that sometimes the Seahawks are slow at getting plays in. You need to get that in quickly so your quarterback can come up to the line and make adjustments, and the center can make adjustments with the line and all those sorts of things. You don't want him coming up with 5 seconds left, right? Because you can't make any adjustments there. They've done this forever. No matter who it is, they waste timeouts.
It drives me nuts. It was just very egregious and worse than usual on this Monday specifically. Yeah. Just because it was 2 of them on back-to-back drives on fourth down. Yeah. So it's like you didn't have a play drawn up the first time. Have one ready for the next one at least. Like do something to avoid having all of our timeouts being taken before the end of the first quarter. Luckily, it didn't matter, but we had no timeouts going into the second quarter. That's very concerning. It's so concerning.
And I don't know if that's Pete. I don't know if it's Shoddy. I don't know if it's Russ. Like, we'll never really know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you're the head coach or the offensive coordinator, both really,
or the quarterback,
you all should pretty much know going into the game what you're gonna do in those situations. Yeah. Now you can't anticipate every situation, but you can certainly anticipate what are we going to do if, on the first drive we're facing, fourth and goal.
It's all scripted. Just have first drive is scripted.
You should know what those plays are. Yeah. So it's like, okay, here, this is what we're doing. This is what we talked about. Yeah. So it's a concern. It's just one of those things that, as a Seahawks fan, as a Pete Carroll fan, you just sort of, he has some weaknesses, and that's just going to be one, and it's probably not going to change.
I mean, it hasn't in years, so I can't expect it to. It hurt more on Monday, especially considering how really shitty of a game it was in the first half. Just no scoring. There, when points are that hard to come by early in a game, wasting those timeouts is just so crushing. Yeah. Because imagine, luckily this didn't happen, but imagine we're going into we have 2 minutes left in the half, and we're trying to drive to put some points on the board finally. And instead of being able to do that, we don't have timeouts. Luckily that we didn't run into that problem, but that could be in the future. Yeah, I mean, that's just going to be something that Seahawks fans and players are just probably going to have to live with, unfortunately.
Yep.
And then I guess other than that, I just want to mention, like, Rasheem Green had a sack. Mm-hmm. Jaron Reed had half a sack. Dunlap half a sack. Mayowa half a sack. KJ and Jamal each with half a sack. KJ with 2 tackles for loss as well. So,
do you realize that they are now 7th in the NFL in
it's
sacks?
So ridiculous.
31 now.
So ridiculous. I need to find the stat, but the stats of sacks before we had Dunlap and Adams back, and then sacks after. We had, like, in these 2 games or 2 or 3 games, we have like 3 times the amount of sacks than we did the whole first part of the season.
Yeah.
So it's incredible to see a player have an impact like that, even if Dunlap isn't putting up these ridiculous sack numbers, which, by the way, he kind of is for us. I mean, for what we're used to, he kind of is. But even if he's not going in there getting 2 sacks a game, it's still clearly having an effect.
He makes Jaron Reed better.
Yeah.
He makes the other defensive ends better. But you had, again, I've said this a couple times, but when you have everybody healthy, you have a good rotation and situational players in there for, doing what you want them to do on certain downs and distances. So having Mayowa, whoever the fuck he is, back, having, Rasheem Green has, we felt his presence a little bit. So when you have all those, and then you can put an LJ Collier in, and when you need him, and he's making some plays, you're setting each one of them, having all of them there helps each of them get a little bit better.
Yeah.
So it's just having the whole package as part of it too. So it's beyond just Dunlap. It's having the whole rotation that you expected to have. Yeah,
for sure. So Jamal Adams had a team high 82.1 PFF grade, including a 71.3 coverage grade. He did pretty good in coverage too.
The best he's been so far in coverage, and that's very encouraging. And that's, I think if he can be in that top 20 coverage wise, I mean, I'll take that. Sign me up for that right now, and then add that to his blitzes, and we got what we paid for.
Yeah. Also, just a few more things on DK that I wanted to mention. So the Eagles are actually going to draft him, which I didn't know, and then they didn't, and he said, I got to make them pay.
Yeah.
And apparently Jim Swartz told DK pregame that he was good, but he wasn't Megatron yet. I've seen Megatron, and like we said, he really isn't, but he, I'm glad, and what I was happy about is DK wasn't mad that he wasn't Megatron yet. He was mad that he was being compared to someone else. He was mad that he wasn't, like, he's always said this, like, I'm not Julio, I'm not Megatron, I'm not Randy, I'm DK Metcalf.
Yeah,
I'm me.
I think that's what the great ones do.
That is, yeah, and that's...
Not trying to be somebody else.
No, and also, where is it? Yeah, DK, 85.6 PFF grade, which is obviously great, and then Darius Slay, 29.8.
Ooh.
And obviously PFF, when you're talking about coverage, is a little rough, but a lot of that was one-on-one. A lot of it was unquestionably
I'm just better
DK
than you.
Metcalf shitting on Darius Slay, just shitting down his throat all game.
Jim Swartz, he's been around for a while. He's had some great runs as a defensive coordinator. Wasn't successful as a head coach, but that was the Lions, so I don't really count. If you were the head coach of the Lions, I don't count that.
Yeah, true. No.
Don't put that on your resume.
Nah.
But he's a kind of a hothead. He's kind of a dick. But he's also, I think, part of his issue is he's can be brutally honest at times. So I think when he went up to DK, and I don't know why he said anything to DK, but I think he was trying to pay him a compliment, and it just, came out wrong. Like if I said to you, like, hey, you're doing really good on this podcasting stuff. I mean, you're not quite Joe Rogan yet. You'd like, be
okay.
If some, maybe not me, but if somebody else said that to you, you'd be like, holy shit, what a compliment.
Yeah.
But DK took that as a slight. I think the great ones do that.
He Michael Jordaned it. That's what he did.
Richard Sherman used to do this.
I took that personally.
Yeah. Richard Sherman made up shit that wasn't even true.
Yeah.
Those guys know how to motivate themselves.
Uh-huh.
It's pretty. And sometimes we think they're nuts, but that's part of what makes them great is they twist anything into a slight.
Yeah, and I found the stat, by the way. Shout out to Joe Fan. By the way, there was a really funny interaction between Jamal Adams and Joe Fan because Joe Fan has criticized Jamal Adams for his coverage.
He asked him what he thought of his coverage, And Jamal Adams took that as criticism.
Okay, yeah.
Very different, but that's the same thing we just talked about, right?
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think of your podcasting, Mason? And you could answer that question, or you can be like, what the fuck's that guy trying to say about my podcasting right now?
Yeah.
So that's what Jamal Adams did with that question.
Yeah, and by the way, so this is the stat. Defense without Carlos Dunlap, 12 sacks in 7 games. Defense with Carlos Dunlap, 17 sacks in 3 games. Yeah. So less than half the games, 5 more sacks. I mean, it just speaks for itself. Obviously, Dunlap doesn't have all those sacks, but like we said, I mean, it's the Aaron Donald effect, Like, I don't know. I might be completely wrong here, but I haven't heard Corey Littleton's name this year at all.
Yeah.
He was all over the place when Aaron Donald was getting triple teamed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's that effect. Shout out Corey Littleton, by the way. He's one of my favorite Huskies ever.
Yeah.
But so it just has that effect. That's what's great about having a great defensive lineman. Even if they're getting double teamed and not beating people, it's gonna have that effect where other guys are freed up. So yeah. Let's see, what else do we got? I mean, other than that, flag, just in general, the Eagles had so many penalties, it seemed like, especially in big situations. I'll have to see exactly.
There were a lot of bad calls in the game and against both teams.
Yeah.
Now, I did see one of the worst penalties I've ever seen, which was Carson's running backwards.
Oh, my God.
Checks it out of bounds. Now, sometimes officials make bad calls because they weren't in position.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I, when I used to argue with umpires in baseball or softball, I'd be like, I don't think you saw it. I think if you saw it, you'd know you were wrong.
Yeah.
They didn't like that very much. But that's when I would get, but I did have a couple umpires say, hey man, like I made the best call I could. I couldn't see it. The slide was weird, but this call, the referee was standing on the stick.
The stick.
Straddling the line of scrimmage.
And he I'll find the screen. He watched the guy catch the ball. He watched whoever it was, assistant coach or whatever. He watched him catch the ball a good 5 yards behind the line. There's this account called Bad Sports Refs on Twitter. They're pretty funny. And that was when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's going on Bad Sports Refs.
Yeah.
Like, no doubt.
So I'm not going to say it's the worst call I've ever seen because it wasn't all that significant in the end. I mean, but as far as a ref having his head up his ass, that's about as bad as it gets.
Yeah,
because you were in position, you were right there. It was your job. Mm-hmm. That's why you're standing on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. So I have the video right here. You won't obviously be able to see it right now, but I will show. I will show the. Show the boys. The boys. Yeah, Carson Wentz just. The snap went through his hands. Dunlap almost gets the sack. There, I paused it. So yeah, he's only like 3 yards behind, but you can see, if you see my mouse, you can see I'm circling the ref's head. He is looking at the guy catching the ball as his dick is lined up with the line of scrimmage. Yeah. And there was a somewhat questionable intentional grounding call on Russ just the last drive. Yeah. And I think that one was probably right.
It was all right.
My point is there have been worse plays not called intentional grounding.
Yeah.
Which I said when that happened, and then that happened.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, there are definitely worse plays that haven't been called intentional grounding.
Wow. Yeah.
Because that's ridiculous. But
yeah, and again, for those that don't know, he was outside of the pocket, so that's step one. But step two is the ball has to reach the line of scrimmage. Mm-hmm. So you have to have a receiver in the area.
Right.
So he was 0 for 3.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Sorry,
0 for 2 or 1 for 3.
Yeah, 1 for 3.
Because he was outside the pocket.
You need to be 2 for 3 though.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. Or have a receiver. Yeah, you can go anyway. Fuck this. I'm fucking this all up. You get the point.
So that was a missed flag, but they in general, I don't even know where to find stats on penalties. I can't find it on ESPN for some reason, but I don't know if they specifically actually had a lot of penalties for a lot of yards. But what I do know is that they came in really big spots, especially like I said, DK drawing those 2 on the first drive. those are personal fouls, so they're 15 yards. But one of them was on third down. There was an incomplete pass on third down, and he got that penalty. That gives us a first down, keeps the drive alive, just for us to fucking give the ball to David Moore on a sweep on fourth down. But regardless, that obviously was something that helped a ton. And then
penalties were there's a lot of penalties. So on both teams, so Philly 9 for 79, Seattle
team stats
8 for 83.
Right. Yeah.
And then there were some that were declined, obviously, so there were more called than that.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't even specifically remember a ton of the Seahawks ones. I only remember the Eagles ones, which usually means when that happens for me, that usually means the Eagles just had them in bad spots, and they were bigger penalties in the moment.
Right.
Yeah, and it was just over and over again. It seemed like penalty after penalty. I remember there was one offsides that Russ threw for like 8 yards or something, so it was declined. But so there's a few of those, and then one last specific play I have taken a note on is the Chris Carson second and goal from the 16. Was that after the intentional grounding, or was that a hold? I don't know. I don't remember what happened. So it was second and goal from the 16, regardless. So obviously, when I saw him getting the handoff, I was like, "What the fuck?" Because it's second and 16 essentially. I was like, "What the fuck are we doing?" Chris Carson proving me wrong. Although I still don't think it's a good call, it's still a little concerning to me. Obviously, Chris Carson's a beast, and that's when you said he's just different.
Yeah.
And so I just want to make note of that too, because that was just a fantastic run that proved to be the difference. Really, we won by 6 points.
Yeah.
So and also the Seahawks covered. So
I have a real question about that, and I meant to kind of, see if I could find something out about this.
Actually, they covered for some people that took the bet at certain times.
Because that spread started at 5.
Yeah.
Which, thankfully, it started at 5. I thought it would go up, especially when when we heard that the right tackle was going to be out.
Yeah.
So it gets to 6.5. And I made a joke like, "Oh, what man? If they go for it, if they score a touchdown and go for it, that's going to be a bad beat for a lot of people." And but then I'm like, but obviously they're not going to go for 2 because
you're down 14.
Yeah, why are you trying to get to 6?
Yeah,
that doesn't
make a difference.
Doesn't make any sense.
Why doesn't make a difference.
That's idiotic. Why would you do that?
Good old Dougie P, baby, Doug Peterson.
Like, I'm sitting there thinking, does he have money on this, or that's really bizarre.
It is. It's really
What chart tells you to do that?
And you said SVP made a note that it was pretty significant.
Yeah,
that he went for 2, right? Yeah.
The first thing he said on his broadcast.
Yeah. Oh man. So that's. I'm sorry if you got the line a little too late, but
I think a lot of people did.
Yeah, true.
I would have taken him at 6.5, and
I think I would have
felt great about it, but. Just because they play close games, but 6.5 sounds pretty reasonable.
Yeah, for a shitty team, and yeah, obviously we win by 6.
Really a weird thing to do, go for it there.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
Dougie Fresh might have some green on the green, green on the Eagles. But
the other thing I thought that was weird about him that game was, we heard about Jalen Hurts all week. At first, it's like, oh, is he going to start? And then it's like, no, he's probably just going to play some. Yeah. He came in for 2 plays, right?
Dude, honestly,
what are you doing?
I'm going to look up Carson Wentz's contract because I know the way they set it up.
He has a $60 million dead cap number.
They're really on a chokehold on that contract, but
they can't physically cut him.
Here's the thing: if you're not trying to get a good pick at this point, if you're actually, because obviously they're in the playoff hunt somehow with the NFC beast, but just fucking put Jalen Hurts in, just see what he's got.
Do one or the other. I think they did the worst of both worlds. So practice reps are very valuable, more so than ever, because you're allowed way less practice time than before. And then there's even more restrictions with COVID.
Yeah.
So So you had Hurts take reps, right? Those valuable practice reps. You had him take those, and then you go in and he runs 2 plays. So either if he's taking those reps, he better have some real time.
Yeah.
Or don't play him at all. Like they did the worst of all of it, which is steal reps and then really not play.
Yeah. By the way, this just looking at the full breakdown of this contract is a nightmare. $60 million in dead cap for next year. He's making $34 million, and he will be making 31, then 36 and 32 after that. The dead cap next year does go down to 24. So after next year, I could see them just cutting bait and whoever. Either give Jalen Hurts a chance, or if they're trying to tank it, whoever. Which tanking doesn't really work in football unless you get, the next whoever you want to say, the next Patrick Mahomes,
quarterback.
But that's it. That's about it. And then, by the way, something that we didn't note about the Joe Burrow injury, they're probably gonna get themselves like Penei Sewell now, or a really good guy to make sure that doesn't happen anymore.
Right.
So that's the only thing I could think of Carson Wentz is you either just ride it out and just say we paid him, we're gonna roll with them, and hopefully get maybe some targets or some linemen to see if you can just piece some things together in a division where any given year you can make the playoffs no matter how bad you are seemingly, you just. At this point, after next year, it only 2023 dead cap is $15 million. I just think you gotta just eat it. Like I think you do.
At some point, you probably do, or maybe you just have a very expensive backup quarterback. But I will say this: Jalen Hurts. Why did they draft him in the 2nd round? He's not going to be a passer, not an elite passer.
No,
and. He's not the runner that some of these other guys are. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not the little fucker from Arizona. He's not Cam Newton. He's maybe Russell Wilson. I mean, he could maybe be that kind of runner, but you better be able to, like Russell Wilson can throw it. That's why it's not his running ability.
Yeah.
I think that was drafting him in the 2nd round is puzzling.
It's pretty questionable when you have no targets, no offensive line, and you know that you're just an injury-riddled team every year.
Yeah.
It is pretty questionable. Also makes you wonder how confident they were in Carson Wentz even last year.
Right.
When I feel like last year people kind of gave Carson Wentz a pass just because of everything that was going on with their team, and they made the playoffs. So I mean, but. That's a good question though. I don't really know what the thought process is there. Here's the thing. If you think you have a guy, then you go get him. So, they knew he wouldn't be taken in the 1st round. So if they honestly think that Jalen Hurts is he's going to be an elite quarterback, then sure, you take him in the 2nd round. But
why did they think that?
But why did they?
I don't see it.
This is what happens with every Oklahoma quarterback.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray is seemingly actually good.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield isn't good. We'll get into that. I think hopefully we haven't talked about this, but hopefully the regular Coe show will be coming out on like Saturday before the NFL slate. But like Baker Mayfield just missing wide open touchdown throws and this. I feel like this just happens for some reason. This happens with Oklahoma quarterbacks, but not Wazoo quarterbacks. Like, you know what I mean?
Right,
it's very similar to me.
Yeah.
Like, you just put up points when you play for Oklahoma. That's what you do.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, overall, obviously, a win is a win, and we are very satisfied with that. Very satisfied with 8-3, I think, before the season.
Yep.
If you asked, being 8-3 and 5-0 at home, are you okay with that? Yeah, I would take that. So
you got a very favorable schedule still upcoming.
Yeah, I mean we got Giants next week.
Yeah, I mean you better win that one. They're going to be without Danny Dimes, but that might be worse for maybe worse for us.
Honestly,
I don't know.
The next 3 games coming up, even though like these actually might be my least favorite games to watch.
Yeah.
Because they're supposed to be blowouts.
They're going to be ugly.
Yeah. So we have versus New York again, and which by the way, thank God we're not playing at that field, I guess. Apparently, that's where the Niners, although I don't know, but they're both coming here, playing New York back-to-back, both teams. So those should be just blowouts. And then we're at Washington, which actually that is a graveyard for knees. Like that was where Joe Burrow played last week.
Let's
Obviously,
just leave Chris Carson at home.
Yeah. Leave Russ at home. Let's get Geno in there, dude.
See what Geno can do.
Yeah. I mean, I would say if Geno's in there, that game comes down to a coin toss.
Yeah. And you know what he does with coin tosses.
Yeah, he wins those. So, and then after that, LA and San Francisco. So, it's very feasible to win out. I just hope, I hope we win 4 of those, really.
Yeah,
I hope we go 4-1.
Yeah. LA is always tough for us, and then, San Francisco is they just beat Arizona. They've got some guys back. That's going to be a tough game. I'm not going to downplay them. I'm not very confident. We should win, but
like Kittle will be back for that.
Yeah, I'm not super confident on that one.
Yeah, it's at San Francisco. All right, well, it'll be at Arizona technically now that San Francisco's playing in Arizona. Right. But I mean, I don't know how. Obviously, we've talked about this a ton. Everyone has, but it's hard to tell how much of an advantage home field is. But even they won't have to travel at least for that game. Yeah. So you can say what you want about that home field advantage. But yeah, so overall, positive feelings. Overall positive.
Yeah.
And like we say this every single week because this is what Seahawks fans do. We nitpick. Yeah. Seahawks fans. There's always something wrong with Seahawks fans.
Well, I also think that in the moment of watching a game and immediately after the game, the emotions are high.
Yeah.
So that's when you see a lot of the Twitter stuff. Is when we're worked up. People are fans. Like, we're emotionally invested. Mm-hmm. Fan is short for fanatic.
Yeah.
Like, that's okay. So that's what you're going to see on Twitter.
Yeah. And Seahawks Twitter has the biggest presence out of any sports team, arguably, other than maybe the Lakers. But, yeah, Seahawks Twitter goes wild. There's some good followers.
So I'm not judging people that day, really.
Nah.
If I see nutty stuff the next day, then I'm like, come on.
That's why we record on Mondays. It's part of the reason we record on Mondays and not Sundays.
Yeah.
Although it might make for some good content.
Oh man.
It's just we're more rational the day after, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I'll say it for the 1000th time. Good positive vibes over here. And it might sound like we're nitpicking too much. But we're just, every team has their flaws, and we're just gonna point them out when we see them. That's simple. Yeah. So, yeah. I guess you got anything else from that game?
No, I think that is it. Yeah. No. That pretty much covers it.
Cool. I guess
keep that defense rolling. Let's they've looked so much better, and hopefully they can stay be average. If you can be average, I'm going to be thrilled. So
yeah, if they can be average, we have a chance at a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
plain and simple.
For sure.
All right, I guess moving on to the UW game. So I'm just gonna say things from my perspective. Obviously, first half was just god awful. Terrible first half.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I missed the best part of the game, which I kind of hate myself for, but also it feels like maybe it was because of that. So
definitely.
I will take credit, even though I'm sad I missed it. I will be taking credit for the win. You look at the stats, you see Dylan Morris, 23 for 28, 272, with 2 touchdowns and 3 picks. 3 of them.
Yeah.
And one of them was just utterly terrible. At least one.
Well, he had 3 picks, and one of them was off. By the way, in the first half, he was 10 of 18 for 77 yards and 2 picks.
Yeah.
So
that's really the story of the game.
Yeah.
The first and second half.
Second half was pretty good.
I mean, it was 21-0 going into the half. If you just look at the box score, you can see the quarters. It's like pretty incredible. It's like first quarter 7-0, second quarter 14-0. Third quarter, 0-17. Fourth quarter, 0-7. It's just so crazy how this game went.
Just flipped, yeah. Morris with his picks. So he had one really bad one. He had One of them I don't count. I mean, it counts, but it's a Hail Mary at the end of the half.
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I just whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not on the quarterback. And then the third one, it was a horrible throw, so I have no problem with him getting blamed for that. However, you're throwing it to a goddamn 6'4" receiver, Ty Jones. That guy has got to come back, and first of all, he should be able to moss people. He's 6'4".
Dude,
he's the shortest 6'4"
He's 5'11", man.
Seriously.
Like, I don't give a shit. He's not 6'4". He's 5'11" in my books. He's Tyler Lockett, dude.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
But he's not fast and can't catch.
Can you imagine if Tyler Lockett were 6'4"?
Yeah.
Kinda,
yeah.
With his moxie in his hands.
Even David Moore, dude. Like, shit.
Yeah. So, you got to come back when a ball's underthrown like that, moss somebody, or hell, commit PI.
Yeah.
Do something.
Something, dude.
So I thought that was I thought that play was worse on him than it was for Morris. Plus, Ty Jones has been around for a while.
Yeah.
Like, go help your young quarterback out.
Yeah.
I thought that was awful.
Mm-hmm.
This was the biggest comeback, second biggest comeback in UW history.
Oh, wow.
The biggest since 1988. When I believe they were down 21-0 to was it 20? No, sorry.
This was
24. Sorry,
okay,
24-0. 24-0 to Cal. I think they won 27-24.
Okay.
I probably
so very similar to this game.
Yeah. I think that's.
Oh, by the way, I have one more question about
Yeah.
DK.
Yeah.
How do you like the nickname? Did you hear Pete's? Yeah. So he says we shouldn't be calling him Megatron. That's old. We should be calling him the Mandalorian.
I like it.
Yeah. Honestly, I kind of like that.
I like
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
I'm rolling with it.
Yeah.
Even though there's too many syllables, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's true. Mando.
Mando. Call him Mando. There you go. So there's a reason he goes by DK instead of Decarius. So
yeah.
But yeah, just the overarching thought. Yeah, horrible first half. Offense looked bad. I think they had a game plan of, hey, we've been running the ball. Let's keep doing that to help our quarterback out. But sometimes you can help your quarterback out by getting them some short passes and taking the pressure off, so you're not facing 8-man fronts with the running game. But yeah, he was bad. The running backs were pretty bad. The offensive line was not being as physical as they have been. Some of that is, Utah has a big, stout defensive line.
Yeah.
I mean, they do every year.
They always do. Always do.
So you're not going to run the ball against them easily. You're going to have to mix it up. I'll tell you what though, Dylan Moore now has as many comeback victories as Jake Browning did in his career. And I loved Jake Browning.
Yeah.
I mean, he was frustrating at times, but he's going to be a third quarter legend and go in the Husky Hall of Fame, in my opinion, for what he did. But when they were down, he didn't bring him back. So I think Jimmy Lake and Dylan Morris both get a lot of credit.
Yeah, so far I'm so impressed with Jimmy Lake.
Yeah.
So impressed.
And I just like, if you see his post-game interview was great.
I did not see it.
They came out and threw some punches, and I told the team they were going to throw punches and we were going to have to come back, and I don't want to totally do the quote because I don't remember it, but so he was talking about haymakers, and I just love the way he described it was great. So you can find that on Twitter
for sure. Yeah,
for those who are watching. But yeah, it was just they totally flipped the script. I continued to watch it, but I was only half watching it. We had another thing going on that night too. So I was literally standing.
You're
on
straddling
the stairs,
TVs pretty much,
and I'm like head on a swivel.
Yeah.
Because we had something else, family related that we were watching on YouTube on the TV.
Yeah. Shout out Vocal Point.
Yeah, Vocal Point. Yeah.
Shout
so
out
your sister was in a show, and hey, look up Vocal Point Seattle, and it's a pretty awesome show.
Yeah.
They were on Evening Magazine last night.
I saw that. Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, pretty awesome. Anyway. So yeah, they just completely flipped it and did what, just pretty improbable. It's really hard to come back from a deficit like that against a good team. And Utah, maybe they're not quite what they have been. Their quarterback isn't very good, But that's still, they have dudes on the lines.
Oh, yeah.
And it's hard to come back 21-0 when you're facing a team that has dudes on the offensive and defensive lines. So great comeback. I wondered, a couple things I really wondered about. Richard Newton does not get a carry in the game.
Yeah.
He was there. He was dressed. He must be in the doghouse. He must have been doing something with somebody he wasn't supposed to. Or I don't know. I'm not going to speculate too much, but it can't be performance. There's no way.
I mean, you're not giving 12 to Pleasant and 7 to McGrew, 2 to Bynum and 2 to Davis without getting Richard Newton in there somewhere.
Yeah, that was really surprising. I don't love Richard Newton like some people do, but I think in a physical game he could have fought through and gotten some more yards for you in a couple of spots. Defensive end, well, he's technically a linebacker. Bowman. I don't believe he was on the sideline at all, so I don't know what's going on with him. It is, you cannot find anything out from college teams, especially UW these days. They don't tell you anything. They'll only tell you if you see a guy like break his leg in half, they'll say, yeah, he broke his leg. And you're like, thanks. He's out, he's out for the season. Oh, thank you. Yeah, good. I would have never guessed. So if something happens in practice or if there's a personal thing, they don't tell you anything. And nobody can watch practice anymore.
Yeah.
So those were ones that I kind of wondered about.
Before we mention anything else, I fucking love ZTF.
Oh my God.
Dude, he had 2 fumble recoveries, which, that's mostly luck, but I mean, he had 3 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and then he had some solo tackles in there, but he's just always making an impact. They don't, he's just all over the place. He's, like I told you, he's very quickly in 3 games, very quickly rising up my favorite all-time UW players.
What?
Like, seriously.
Yeah, I've got a great stat here, and this is from Mike Varell on Twitter. I forget who he writes for, but anyway. So ZTF ranks tied for 11th nationally with 7 sacks, which sounds pretty good, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. He's played 3 games. Everybody above him on the list, only 1 player ahead of him on the list has played fewer than 9 games.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah. So everybody in front of him has played 3 times the game, except for, I guess, there's 1 guy.
That's insane.
And he has 2.33 sacks per game, and that leads the country by a massive margin.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, over 2 sacks a game is insane in high school. Like, that's...
And I thought the first couple games, I took it a little bit with a grain of salt. I mean, he looked really good, but I'm like, well, let's see how he does against Utah with a physical offensive line. Let's see how he does when he starts getting double teamed. You're a coach, you're watching the film, you're like, okay, all right, we got to stop 58. So I'm like, he's going to see more double teams. I think I said it on this podcast. He split double teams.
Yeah.
He looked like Aaron Donald.
He's better. He was like, he fucked around and played better when he was being double teamed.
So he looks outstanding.
Yeah.
It's sad that, I kind of think this might be his last year.
Yeah.
He really is only going to have 1 year because he played sparingly last year. But he's a freak. UW hasn't had a player like this for a long time.
Danny Shelton, was that like...
But he wasn't that...
He wasn't even that...
This kind of player.
He wasn't... Yeah.
He was a really good player, but he wasn't somebody that just you feared.
I mean, Edmund, like, who's the last, really, who's the last guy that was doing this? I mean, it's only 3 games, so you take it with a grain of salt, but who really?
Kikaha, yeah. Was probably the last guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was an end, basically, that scared the bejesus out of you if you're on the other side, so.
Yeah, I mean, he's insane. Incredible. Also, we'll talk about this on Saturday. You did kind of predict the player of the week thing. Your boy did get a pick.
He did, and at the end of the game.
It was sealing the game. So, yeah, I mean, props to you for that.
I thought he would have a big punt return, but he didn't get to return any. They were, punts were way up in the air, so they had good coverage, and he didn't even get, I don't even think he had a return.
He'll take one back this year, I think.
Yeah, he will.
And And you got, let's see, Molden obviously playing great.
Oh.
Just a great undercut on that pick.
Yeah.
Just cutting off the throw. And then he's just always all over the place.
Well, that play, that's some might say, oh, that's a gamble.
Mm-hmm.
But he was in position. If he had to go behind the player, he could have gone behind him. But he read the throw early and got there. So, I mean, the guy's just amazing.
Yeah.
Great play.
By the way, last week I accidentally called Ulafosio Ogbui. I'm never doing that shit again. I am never fucking doing that again. I will never make that mistake again because Ulafosio's good at football. Unlike Ogbui. Ogbui sucked dick.
Yeah, he was pretty bad.
He was bad, but Ulafosio had 14 tackles. He's just all over the place. And then Jackson Sermon. There were some plays that were rough, but there were also some kind of standout plays. So I don't really know what to make of that, but
he's just not. I don't think he has quite the sideline to sideline speed that you would like.
He wears a neck roll, like, dude.
Yeah, he would have been great on the 91 team.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's he's an okay player. He's he had a chance to get a sack, didn't get it. The quarterback scrambles for a first down. Overall I haven't been real impressed with him so far.
Yeah.
I expected more from him this year, but Fushio. God, he deserves to have his name pronounced correctly at this point.
I'm just gonna say Ulafosio.
There you go.
That's what I'm gonna say.
Ulafosio.
Yeah.
He's looking outstanding. And again, I'll say this. The dude was a walk-on.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah. He's outstanding.
And then the other guy I really want to mention is the man I have a man crush on, Cade Otton.
Man.
Just 8 for 108, 2 touchdowns last week. It was last week, right? That he just didn't even get targeted, really.
No, it was the first. I think it was.
Okay, yeah, that was first game. Yeah, last week he had a monster week too. First game, he wasn't getting targeted really at all, and we both were like, dude, like similar to what we said with DK. If nothing's there, just throw it up to him. Yeah. If it gets picked, you'll take your chances on that.
Yeah, he's your most reliable target right now on offense.
Oh, no doubt. And then Puka Nacua 6 for 67. And then Bynum had that 38-yard reception, which was good. And so when you look at the receiving stats, it looks like the quarterback had a super good game. But yeah, obviously like we said, it was a story of the first and second half. So you kind of separate those, and that's what I think. That's a huge testament to Jimmy Lake, is being able to go into a half where they only punted once in the first half, and they scored 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So they only punt once in the first half, and we put up a goose egg to be able to have your guys run out the tunnel in the second half and get right like that, and not only shut them out, but put up 17 points in that third quarter. You come out of the second half where you just laid a goose egg and gave up 14 points in the second quarter, and you just go in there and score. You go in there third quarter, open up strong, score 17, and now all of a sudden, it's 21-17, and it's a one possession game. Obviously, the fourth quarter went how it did, I'm so impressed with Jimmy Lake, and I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but I wish I did. I had a really good feeling about him as a hire, just because not only was the defense elite, but the defense always had just a good attitude and mentality, and they made adjustments all the time, which I think is a huge thing in coaching. Obviously, it's a huge thing in coaching, is making adjustments. So, just shout out Jimmy Lake.
And I always felt like he had the personality for it,
Mm-hmm.
so he's good. He's the type of guy, some coordinators can't make that leap, and you don't really know until you see him do it. But I'm like, okay, he's good. He's good with the media. He's good with the boosters.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has all those other components that you don't see as much during a football game that I thought would make him be good at it. By the way, I just want to mention that biggest comeback. It was 27-3. They were down 27-3 versus Cal. I just
just a little note. Yeah.
Correct my factual error there.
Yeah.
I think Utah got a little conservative in the second half, which helped. I think that Dylan Morris seems like a gamer, like we mentioned before. Mm-hmm. I don't think every quarterback can have that keep his head up, after what
he
went through.
I don't know. Like you said, Jake Browning, he didn't really lead us back from a deficit often, but I don't. Not even just because of his physical play, but I don't think Jake Browning could ever come back from 21 points.
No,
just from
not.
A mental standpoint, because you could see it sometimes.
Yeah,
with him.
you could
see it.
Body language.
Yeah.
I never saw any bad body language with Dylan Morris.
And that's a freshman who just came off probably the worst half he's played ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think, you know. So yeah,
there are a couple things that both the offensive and defensive lines, were a concern in the first half. I think one thing that I wish I could describe this better. I just wrote down field goal clusterfuck. But basically, they had a 35-yard field goal coming. Mm-hmm. They do this thing where they lined up like they were going to fake it. Mm-hmm. I don't know why they did that. And then they took a delay of game. And then now a struggling kicker has to kick a 40-yard field goal, and he misses it. So I'm like, I don't understand any of those things. Why were they lining up in this formation like they were going to fake it?
I would like to know who was responsible for that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I mean, maybe Jimmy Lake approved the idea to take a look at it, but I want to know who. I want to know who decided to run that, because it looked like they were going to do some Colts against the Patriots shit where it just was going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, do that if they're trying a 25-yard field goal and there's not much of, if you're a kicker, 25 versus 30 is nothing.
Yeah.
But 35 versus 40 is very significant.
It is, yeah. It is.
For an NFL kicker, let alone a below average college kicker.
Yeah.
So I just didn't understand that. I thought that was really weird. Yeah, I don't know who's responsible. They've had some issues on special teams.
Yeah.
It's been different issues every week.
Yeah.
Last week they kept running into the punter and getting penalties.
Oh my God, yeah. And then they were giving up those big returns against that Beavers kid. I mean, so he's really fast.
They're plugging some of these issues, but then other stuff is coming up. So I hope they figure that out. But yeah, overall, they did get, I'm blanking on his name now. He has another name I can't pronounce, but they did get a big defensive lineman back last week that I thought might be out for the season.
Tuputala? Is that who you're talking about?
Maybe.
Okay.
I think maybe.
He's number 4. He's a linebacker.
Oh God.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I don't know who you're talking about.
He's just a big dude. I think he helped them too, just with the rotation. So getting him back was nice. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I should have written his name.
No, you're good.
Down,
you're good.
Yeah. So he did add something to that. But yeah, I just again, not what you wanted to see. But Utah is always tough, and for them to come back, outstanding. Stanford's going to be another tough game.
Yep.
I know Stanford's down a bit, but they're still a physical team that UW has had some issues with here and there.
Yeah.
Even when UW is favored, they struggle. The spread on that is pretty. I think it's 11.5 or something.
Ooh.
No thank you on that.
No thanks.
So I could see that happening, but it seems kind of unlikely.
I mean, I'm not touching that.
And by the way, it's the Northwest Cardinal now, not Stanford Cardinal, because Stanford is practicing up here now. They have been all week.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to practice by, I think it's Santa Clara County.
Santa Clara County, yeah.
So they're in Washington, and my understanding is they're just going to stay up in the Northwest because they've got one of the Oregon schools next week. So they're
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The PNW Cardinal.
Yeah, PNW Cardinal.
All
yeah.
right.
So you get a hat now because they're they're a local team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I feel for the I feel bad for college kids. That
no doubt
it's different than millionaires in the NFL. For them to, the thing that I hate about it is it's not helping. I wear my mask. I support almost all the things that are going on, even though I think they're hard. But this one is just stupid because basically what you're doing is saying, okay, well, you're going to have to go somewhere else and put yourself at risk.
Yeah.
can't do it here. I don't think that helps anyone.
Because there's nothing is changing except they're not in their usual facility where I think it would be easier to like have restrictions, lay things out a certain way.
Yeah.
You know where things are. You know, I just it makes it harder for everyone, and I feel like the only thing that could make it better is potentially you're not by your family. But these college kids are, especially going to Stanford. I mean, you're from everywhere. Like, you know, there's kids from all over the country coming there. So it doesn't even make sense that way either. But I don't know.
That being said, I've heard some people say, "Oh, how can they do this to these kids?" On the flip side, you know what? These kids want to play. Most of them want to play, like, and you can opt out if you want to.
You think they don't like people act like they don't want to play football?
Yeah, and they want to play.
They want to play football. Like I don't know what to tell you. They want to like
ask high school kids that can't play.
You think the high school kids were happy that their shit got canceled? No, they weren't. They weren't.
Yeah,
you know.
So I think I'm glad they're still doing it. I'm glad they're traveling like that. I just think I think they're getting let down by people making those decisions.
Yeah.
And they just you need to make exceptions. And I know a lot of people don't like to hear that, but you need to make exceptions for certain things like that where there's daily testing and protocols in place and
where
all that.
it's anywhere where it's very obvious. You know, like I understand not being able to dine indoors. I understand all that.
Yeah.
But because that actually could help things. But nothing is changing. You're just in a different spot. It's just like nothing. This doesn't help anything.
Not in my backyard type of deal.
Yeah. I don't know.
Move it to somebody else's backyard.
It just feels like that's some just like political grandstanding shit. It's just Anyway, we don't have to get into politics here.
No.
Yeah, but overall, again, positive vibes. Especially, you know, I would say extra positive vibes. Just, you know, obviously the first half not good, but seeing that Jimmy Lake and the squad has the ability to overcome some I guess controversy or deficit. It's just good to see, and it's good to see. Overall, I think the team has been playing really well. Special teams has some question marks, but whatever.
How about that game formerly known as the Civil War?
Oh yeah.
Now, I said I'm not celebrating this until the UW game is over.
Yep.
And you know, this has happened so many times in my life where everything lines up perfectly and all your team has to do is win the game. I've seen it with the Seahawks too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm sitting there when they're down 21-0 going, "Man, see what I mean?"
Yep.
Like this is what happens. Like everything lined up except for the one part where you got to win your game.
Yeah.
And luckily they were able to come back, but yeah, Oregon, you
Big
know,
Jebbia, baby.
Jebbia, you can't
Let's
stop
go.
Jebbia. Yeah, and then he gets hurt, and they bring in some guy for his first snap ever on 4th and goal.
Yeah, or no.
Bad officiating again by the Pac-12 in that game. Jebbia was in 2 plays earlier. They didn't call it a touchdown. Review angle was bad again, so they didn't overturn it. Next play, Jebbia gets hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Which that play never should have even happened.
No, never should have happened.
And then they bring in Chance Nolan. Like
Chance Nolan.
That sounds like a douchebag.
It sounds like a douchebag, and it sounds like an auto-generated player. Also, he doesn't have a picture on ESPN. He does not have a picture on ESPN, which is pretty funny.
Wow.
Yeah. So shout out Oregon State taking the loss to us and then handing it right back to Oregon. Fuck Oregon. They are my least favorite team in any sport at any level.
Agreed.
I will always fucking hate Oregon, especially Oregon football.
Yeah.
They can suck my dick. I don't care.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I have for the Oregon State game. But back to the UW game. I mean, I guess I don't have a ton left on that either. I mean, really, like I said, just great to see a comeback and just a good football game. It started off bad, obviously. Just just good shit, really.
Yeah, a win is a win, baby. I'll take it.
For sure, 3-0.
Yeah,
feeling good. We're ranked 22nd now, which is dope.
It was interesting that AP ranked Oregon ahead of Washington still, which I don't know how you could do that.
That's dumb.
The CFP put Washington one spot ahead of Oregon.
That's the one that matters.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Not that it's going to matter for either team, I don't think. I think, you know, UW could win out and maybe get into the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think that would be great. give you some momentum going into a full season next year.
By the way, my bonus clown of the week for this week, I have a bonus clown of the week, is any fucking BYU fan that thinks going against Coastal Carolina is significant now. You want me to read who the fuck Coastal Carolina has played? Just give me 1 second here. So yeah, people I see, people are like, "Oh, well, now they're playing the 18th ranked team in the country, so we weren't scared of UW." Yeah, first of all, it's Coastal fucking Carolina. They will never be 18th best.
Nobody knew that was even a college until a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, the only people that knew it was a college were the people that paid a little bit of attention to college baseball because they won it a few years ago. They will never be the 18th best football team in the fucking country.
Do you know who, the people that have heard of Coastal Carolina? The people who live on the coast of Carolina.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
Not even North Carolina. Never.
Yeah.
They've never even heard of it.
They've played the worst. So they played the worst football program in Power 5 history in Kansas.
Right.
The Campbell Camels. That's who they played.
Arkansas,
not a real place. Arkansas State. So
not a real place.
Not a real place. Arkansas isn't real, and also the University of Arkansas fucking sucks. Let alone Arkansas State.
Yeah.
And then 21st ranked Louisiana Raging Cajuns.
Oh yeah.
Jesus Christ, Georgia Southern, and then they got another Georgia team though, Georgia State.
Wow.
They played Georgia State. They played an Alabama team, South Alabama. God damn, Appalachian State and Texas State. God damn, dude.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
They will never be the 18th best. Like, dude, in a normal season, if I will get a Coastal Carolina tattoo if they are ever the actual 18th best team in the country. I really will do that. Okay, you can hold me to it. I'm not gonna. If it actually happens, it's on you guys, the fans, to tell me about it. Because I'm not gonna take that upon myself. I'm doing this now because no one watches this podcast and no one will remember this.
I'll remember this.
God damn it. Yeah.
And my 5 Twitter followers will know all about it when it happens.
Yeah. So
I think I'll tell you this. BYU, in a normal year, if you took this BYU team that right now and put them in a normal year and put them in the Pac-12, they go 4-5.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Now, you give them a one-off game here and there, they might win it, but I mean, I just pulled this up right now. Utah went from the Mountain West to the Pac-12, and they I don't have their conference record, but Utah, their last few years was 13-0, 10-3, 10-3. And then they come into the Pac-12. They had a losing record in the Pac-12 the first year. They go 5-7, 5-7. Like, when you have to play, the Pac-12 is not even a great conference.
No, it's what happens though.
But you're playing a decent team every week.
Every week.
Every week it's a physical challenge. There are dudes on both sides of the ball. It's hard.
Yeah.
You get more injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Your depth gets exposed.
Mm-hmm.
So BYU would I don't think they'd go 500 in the conference if they played in this conference.
I don't think so either.
When you play one good team a year, you can gear up for it.
But they beat Georgia State 51-0, so theoretically they would probably be like 24-21 against like UW or something. Yeah, fuck off,
and
dude.
That's been shown. I mean, UW crushed them, 2 years in a row.
Yeah,
those weren't even great UW teams.
It's just what happens.
Yeah.
It's just what happens.
Yeah.
I pray to I don't know if there's anything up there, whatever, Mormon God, whatever, dude. I fucking pray that we see them in a bowl game, dude.
Oh,
I
God,
pray.
that'd be great.
Oh my God. I want to play them in I don't care about any other team. I don't care about the Pac-12 championship. I want to play them in a bowl game, and
yeah.
I want that to happen.
Beat them last time. You were there.
Yes.
Yeah.
In San Francisco.
With Tui as the head coach.
Yeah, Tui was the head
Sark
coach.
Left.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that's my BYU rant for the week.
Yeah.
So other than that, though, UW game was great.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you got anything else though?
No, it'll just be interesting to see how they fare against Stanford. I'm curious to see, the Dylan Morris progression. I just can't express it enough. I mean, for him to show that he has the moxie to play well in the second half was great. And we'll see how that carries forward.
Yeah.
And then I'm curious to see how the lines hold up against each other between these two teams. They're both, they're similar in that regard. They're going to play very physical at the point of attack on both sides, and I'm curious to see how that pans out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I guess other than that, like I said, follow us on Twitter at Mason Charles Coe, at AaronCoe29. Buy the book, ebook on Amazon, hardcover on Lulu. And, like, subscribe, comment, do all that shit. And then I think hopefully the I don't know what you want to call it, the regular edition of the Coe Show will hopefully be coming out Saturday.
All right.
So, yeah. Other than that, have a great weekend. Hope that your December has started off better than probably the other 11 months. And
coming down the home stretch of 2020, baby.
I like how people just act like when 2020 ends, our problems end.
I bet if you go back to Facebook and Twitter and look at how many people said, "Oh, thank God 2019's over."
Dude, I know.
Like a lot of people
did that. Yeah. So don't just sit here and act like 2021 means things get better, okay?
Yeah.
But hopefully they do.
Will.
Hopefully they do. Just don't have that expectation, I guess. All right. Love you guys.
See ya. Thank you.